Well, folks, welcome in for any of you that are watching this program, which usually is about nobody. And we do have quite a bit of things to get to today. Stand by as I am trying to post this link on Twitter so that other folks can possibly see this. And so we have a lot of stuff to get. Well, really, only actually a couple of topics, namely the woke Georgia judge Scott McAfee, who it appears that all he really cares about is getting reelected. Surprise, surprise. Um, it's not really. Well, it's not a surprise, honestly. And I think it's just because simply, being that he is a white judge in Fulton County, which is 70% Democrat, I think he figured if he didn't remove Fannie Willis, that he he wouldn't be able to um what is that? Sorry, I'm having a Joe Biden moment here. Yes, there we go. Okay. Okay, now we got it. Okay, so he figures probably that if he had actually removed Fannie Willis from her position as the DA, because I mean, let's be real, when she made her pitch to run for DA, she's like, "We need someone that won't have sex with their employees." She did that. Want to embezzle money? She did that. She did everything that she said she wasn't going to do. And yet, here we are. She's not being removed. Should be. And of course, they threw Nathan Wade over the side of the boat to be eaten by the sharks because that was her only option to keep her job. And that is why I say the rig and the fix for the 2024 presidential election has already begun. Actually, it had begun last year when they started bringing all these charges against Trump once he announced he was running. Or was that even the year before? I think that was it was in 2022 he announced he was running. And then they started bringing up all these bogus charges. I think I said before on this program, how in the hell is the New York case, the what is Judge whatever the hell his name is, guy that showed his wiener or whatever, Engeron, I think. Mar-a-Lago is not worth $18 million. It might be worth $1.8 billion. As Sean Hannity says on his show all the time, a 2-acre plot of land in that area that's just dust is worth $200 million. So I don't understand how Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million. But I digress. Maybe the property, and I don't even think so, at the time might have been worth 180 million before it was built upon. Because remember, this was years ago. There's no way it was only worth 18 million. Again, it's New York, which, by the way, there was a shooting on the subway in New York today. Maybe it was yesterday. I'm not sure. But the liberal media, they just don't care. All they care about is get Trump no matter what happens. They don't care that the country is going to go to hell. They don't. They only, They only care about what's going to get them votes. So let's see here what we have. I think it's USA Today. Fani Willis can stay on Georgia Trump election case. Judge rules special prosecutor resigns. Well, of course he had to resign. The Georgia judge on Friday sharply criticized Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and said she must fire the special prosecutor she hired to oversee the sweeping election fraud case against former President Trump, or see her office lose control of the case. Again, this guy's trying to thread the needle because, oh my God, if I fire a black woman in Fulton County, Georgia, I'm not getting reelected. Atlanta Bay Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, in a much awaited ruling, said Willis had created the significant appearance of impropriety that infects the current structure of the prosecution team by having a romantic relationship with a special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, who is supervising the case against Trump and 14 others for allegedly trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election in the state. Now, for any of you that have a functioning brain who aren't living under a rock, all that happened on that was Trump called one of the higher ups in Georgia. He said, "Look, all he needs is 11,600 votes. I know they're there. You just got to find them." There were video footage of an overweight African American woman during the vote counting process taking a flash drive, sticking it in her shit, and then walking out. Why would you do that? Because that contained a bunch of Trump votes. And it is very possible, because Governor Brian Kemp and Donald Trump do not like each other, that Brian Kemp had something to do with this. Clay Travis says Brian Kemp would be a good pick for Trump to pick as a VP. Not going to happen. Oh, by the way, breaking as of today, Mike Pence, I don't remember where he said this, but he said there's no way in hell I will vote for Donald Trump, but there's also no way in hell I will vote for Joe Biden. So what does that tell you? Mike Pence. And first off, I never liked him. I always thought, Trump made a few bad decisions during his campaign and presidency. The first one I thought was picking Mike Pence. I thought he should have picked Newt Gingrich. He could have picked way better than Mike Pence. And then the other one is, and I still, my late mother, bless her soul, when he picked the last Supreme Court justice, which was Amy Coney Barrett, who has done Trump no favors whatsoever. In fact, she seems to have aligned more with the left side of the court than the right side of the court. He had a choice between Amy Coney Barrett and Barbara Lagoa because he insisted it had to be a woman. And Lagoa, Cuban woman from Miami, would have been way more of a tiger on Trump's end than this Coney Barrett. He caused an insurrection. I can't support him. Don't like her. Never did. She is the antithesis of a Supreme Court justice we don't want you. He may as well have picked a Democrat. Barbara Lagoa was a woman with a vagina. And this is going to sound weird. Of course, women have vaginas, right? The difference is, and this is a Betty White quote. I may have said this on this program before. Betty White once said, the late, great Betty White said, "Why do men always be telling each other to grow a pair of balls? You kick a man in the balls, he falls like a ton of bricks. You should tell him to grow a vagina, because those things can take a pounding." By that mantra, Amy Coney Barrett has a weak set of testicles. Barbara Lagoa had a vagina. She can take a pounding and give it right back. But no, he picked, maybe because he's quote-unquote racist, I don't know, but he should have picked Barbara Lagoa because Coney Barrett has done him no favors at all. In fact, in the 2020 case, The only people that did him any favors were Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Not even any of the people he put on the court. But the Democrats said he put these people on the court because they're going to be loyal to him. They're going to keep him in office no matter what. Yeah, wrong-o. And Lagoa, in the latest Supreme Court case of the Colorado thing, not Lagoa, Coney Barrett, sided with the liberal women justices. Unfortunately, appointed for life. Sorry, Don, you screwed up. Don't know who was advising him on that one. So the Fani Willis case, she can stay as the lead prosecutor or the DA. She has to pick another prosecutor. Who knows? She might start banging another one. You ever seen Nathan Wade's wife, folks, that he allegedly cheated on with Fani Willis? She looks a lot more feminine than Fani Willis. I'll tell you that. Fani Willis could well be a man, just like Michelle Obama. And a lot of people say it's Fani Willis. No. I'm going to call her Fani Willis because I like to do so. Because I can. Because this is America. And as Clay Travis said, I'm a First Amendment and free speech absolutist. Best things in this country are the First Amendment and boobs. Those are the only things that never let me down. Although, Clay, I'd have to say the First Amendment and then the 3 B's, beer, boobs, and bourbon, have never let me down. Who doesn't love a nice cold beer? Woke soy boy Democrats, probably. They probably prefer a little white wine with a salad. Nope. Real men, we like a beer, a burger, some fries, or a beer, a steak, baked potato. You know, the finer things in life. Other news, though, Ron DeSantis has basically... I have to pull this one up, folks. Give me a second here. And I wasn't even going to bring this up. It just talking about beer and meat. DeSantis, stand by here. There we go. From Food and Wine, Florida is on its way to banning and criminalizing alternative meat. This, for those of you living in Rio Linda, California, as Rush used to say, and I love using that, because Rio Linda, back in the day when Rush used to use this, was a very small, kind of out-of-date part of California. And I do have a friend in California who says that's not really the case, but anyhow. So Governor Ron DeSantis wants to keep lab-grown meat out of Florida. Yes, lab-grown meat. This is the thing that Bill Gates has been pushing. Over the last several months, Florida legislation has been quietly working to ban and criminalize the production and sale of cell-cultivated meat across the state via the introduction of 2 bills, HB 1071 and SB 1084. For those of you living in Rio Linda, HB means House bill, and SB means Senate bill. On February 6th, the state's House of Representatives passed SB 1084, which now sits on DeSantis' desk awaiting his signature. And if his previous comments are any indication, he will be pulling out his pen soon. I know the legislature is doing a bill to protect our meat, DeSantis said in February, and this is my DeSantis impersonation, mind you, while visiting South Florida State College Hardy campus, according to CBS News. You need meat, okay? And we are going to have meat in Florida, DeSantis said. We're not going to have fake meat. That doesn't work. Cell-cultivated meat, to be clear, differs from traditional veggie burgers and meat alternatives like Impossible Burgers. Cell-cultivated meat is developed in a lab grown from a sample of animal cells that does not require the slaughter of animals. In other words, it's like actually meat. The development of cell-cultivated meat, a CRS explained, happens in 5 steps: biopsy of animal cells, cell banking, cell growth, harvesting, and food processing. Is an industry that has heavy oversight in the United States by both the FDA and the USDA. Now, folks, again, this was all started by Bill Gates. Bill Gates has started a lot of things. Like back in 2015, Bill Gates patented the COVID test. Check me if I'm wrong. Google it. He might not be able to Google it. You might have to find another thing. But he did. And that was, 5 years before actual COVID? Do you trust anything that has anything with Bill Gates attached to it? I sure as shit don't. Well, I mean, I use Microsoft, but that's because I hate Apple. Because everything Apple's made in China. Of course, everything's made in China. But think of this. Bill Gates, soy boy, all he cares about is himself. Why are all these billionaires building bunkers and trying to get us to eat fake meat? It ain't happening here. I mean, if they're that concerned, why don't they send a bunch of it to Haiti, where they're eating people? Think about that. No, maybe they haven't. Maybe they haven't thought about that. I mean, think about it. Why try and use us as guinea pigs when you have people starving that are eating people? There's a guy called Barbecue down there. Now, the name Barbecue isn't because he likes to actually eat people. He just likes to burn his victims alive. Since they ousted the prime minister, this guy's basically running the country of Haiti. And I know many Haitians. They're good people. There's nothing wrong with them. They're hardworking people. And they're here. And you know what? Most of the ones that are here do not like Hillary Clinton or the Democrats. And I'll tell you why. I had a neighbor who was Haitian. Taught me how to make he taught me how to make jerk chicken, which is a Jamaican thing, but I turned it into my thing. I took his recipe and put it on steroids. I made it way better. And he even said so when he had a bunch of his Haitian buddies over. But the Clinton Foundation, we helped Haiti. We gave them food and crops. Yes and no. Clinton Foundation excavated a bunch of fields from the crappy dirt that Haiti had. And the reason that Haiti's dirt was crappy, mind you, I am a horticulturist and agriculturist, so I know about this stuff. That's what I do as my day job. Their dirt was shit because they were growing nothing but sugarcane on the island. That was the most profitable crop. You can watch old French movies about Haiti where the kids, they find a bottle of rum, they drink it, and then they burn down the sugarcane fields, which is it's a practice that they use. However, growing nothing but sugarcane, there's no crop rotation or anything. Sugarcane is one of those crops that completely destroys the soil. So the Clintons came in and said, we're going to replace your dirt, right? They replaced it with dirt. Get this, folks. From Monsanto. Sure, they had new dirt. Clintons are like, oh, we fixed your dirt. And here's some seed to grow. And the Haitians, they had a great crop for a while. But then after that, you guys got to buy Monsanto seed. Because this is genetic, by the way, it's GMO everything. The Democrats are supposed to hate Monsanto and GMOs, but to make the Clinton Foundation look good, they use this to try and get the Haitian vote. And that's what my neighbor told me. He says, no, man, the fucking Clintons, they put a bunch of they put this soil down. And the only thing that will grow in it is seed from Monsanto. Wait. I thought the Democrats hate GMOs. No, they don't. They just want, it's a poor country. They just want the votes from their relatives that live here that are U.S. citizens. That is how disgusting, not just the Clintons, but the entire Democrat Party, they work the same way. And if you guys don't see it, you're more blind than Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder combined. The Democrats do not care about the people in these third world countries. They only care about getting reelected. That's why we have all our open borders and everything else. They don't care about us. They care about them. And again, that's why, thank God I live in the free state of Florida where Ron DeSantis deployed National Guard, Florida Fish and Wildlife, law enforcement agencies to patrol our waters. And again, they caught this boat, 25 migrants with guns, drugs, and night vision. How the hell does the poorest country, one of the poorest countries in our hemisphere, if not the poorest country in our hemisphere, get their hands on night vision equipment? The guns and the drugs, that I can see, but the night vision equipment? No. This is set up. Somebody is behind this. But the liberals are just going to be like, they're just seeking asylum. Hell no. Another thing DeSantis said, well, it'd be easier for them to just take a plane to Mexico, walk right across the border because Biden lets them in, and then they can go wherever the hell they want. Fortunately, there's not many planes going in and out of Haiti, so this isn't happening. But you see, this is what we have to deal with. This is what happens. And I'm not even blaming Biden for this because Biden doesn't even know what the hell day it is. He was so jacked up on a bunch of drugs the other night. And then he went back to same old Joe. Hey, am I allowed to take questions? I'm sorry, I can't take questions. Here, we'll give me my ice cream. Don't wear milky and sippy cup. And yet it looks like at the moment, and this was the same thing 4 years ago, at the moment Trump is ahead by a landslide. They're not done. They're not done. Do not forget, folks, that Dominion will be counting the ballots in many states this year. And Dominion has sued many people for defamation. And they win because Democrats are a majority. The thing is, and it's not even fake news. It's not. Dominion is a Canadian voting software that is designed, it's all computer. Now, fortunately, in the state of Florida, we don't have Dominion, but Florida's a red state. We have and this is how it works in the state of Florida, because I voted early today, and as I said, I voted for Ron DeSantis in the event. Of course, I'm 100% behind President Trump, but in the event that they throw him in jail, I don't want Nikki Haley. And I went in there, you have to use photo ID. They scan it. It puts up your party, your name, everything else. It prints out a ballot. Right then and there, prints out a ballot. And then you have to fill it in, and then you slide it through the machine. Dominion is a computerized voting system, and they can adjust it. They can adjust it, and this is what I'm sure they did. They can adjust it so that one vote for, say, Trump counts as 0.75% of a vote, or even 0.99% of a vote if they really want to be smart about it. And a vote for Biden counts as 1.01% of a vote. Biden's going to win every time. In the states that use this software, again, it's Canadian software. Canada doesn't even use their own software. This software was given to Venezuela, which is how Hugo Chavez became in charge of Venezuela, which is why they're a impoverished country. And YouTube, kiss my ass if you take this down and say I'm giving misinformation, because I'm not. I don't give misinformation, I give facts. You are the ones giving misinformation by taking it down. So what I have to say here, folks, and I'm gonna echo Sean Hannity on this. I am a traditionalist, conservative. For president, I always vote on election day, and I will again this year. I like the thrill of it. But for anybody that may see this in a different state, namely the northern states that are swing states like Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, we know is going to go blue. New Hampshire, that one's in play. New Jersey even may be in play. Virginia, any states where you may possibly have a snowstorm or some weather event that prevents you from getting to the polls on election day, just vote early, because again, we can't be hundreds of thousands of votes behind when they start counting. Because a lot of times they call this way too early. You have to be so far ahead on election day, like the Democrats always are, that, and I think early voting should be gone. I think you should only be able to do mail-in voting if you are, too old, disabled, military, in the hospital, something like that. And again, that photo ID needs to be necessary in order for this to happen. Some states are never going to require that. So we have to beat the Democrats at their own game. We have to get into the early voting. And again, in my state of Florida, no big deal. I don't think there's any way that Trump won't win the state of Florida. But Georgia, that's a big one. They ballot harvest in Georgia. They bus the BLMs into the churches. And I've seen it. I was driving through Georgia before the runoff election in 2020. 2021, actually. And you see it. All the BLMs out there voting for Warnock and Ossoff. And that gave the Democrats control of everything. And I'll tell you what, folks. I've said this many times before on this program. If Warnock and Ossoff didn't win that runoff, January 6th never would have happened, because the Republicans would have held control of the Senate. It was that event that made it very clear that things were being rigged. And again, what I'm going to say about this is that particular event. Remember, in November, Loeffler and Perdue won that race by about 1%. They had the runoff in January of 2021. They lost it by exactly 1%, maybe even less. I think it might have been 0.9%. But they only do one runoff in Georgia. That should have resulted in another runoff. So I don't, and we felt, a lot of the Republicans felt cheated. And then they, and of course, a lot of them were probably in D.C. at the time. I know I was not. All evidence shows I was not. People at work think I was, but I was not. I was on my way home from Tennessee on January 5th. January 5th. I got home in Miami on January 5th, and I was watching the election results, and I saw that we lost. I wake up the next day to see the news of people storming the Capitol and everything else. I was not in agreement with it at all. But you know what? President Trump had ordered National Guards and fences. They didn't do it. The Democrats set up the January 6th Capitol riot to call it an insurrection to try and disqualify Trump from ever running again. So you know what, folks? You have to go out and vote. You have to go out and vote as early as you can, especially if you're in one of these states. Unless they're using Dominion, and even if they're using Dominion, still, it's the best you can do. We have no. If Joe Biden wins again, which right now he's behind in the polls, but they're going to try and rig something. You have to get out in large numbers and vote. Save America. Trump 2024. Catch you guys later.